I do not believe this is a case like George Floyd.
Well, let me first of all say this. Geraldo, like he was with Bongino, he's wrong. He keeps talking about shooting the guy in the back, and I'll get that in a second. Let me be as clear as possible. This was an overcharge, and this is a war against the police department. What you have here, and the issue is very simple. What was in the officer's mind at the time he fired that gun? Let's be clear. This is not the George Floyd case. This man was a fleeing felon. He assaulted police officers. That's a fact. And what you cited, those two cases, what was in the officer's mind? There can be 100 police experts who will say that officer had a reasonable fear of that his life was being threatened by this man when he turned around. Geraldo, you keep talking about in the back. It's happening in split-second timing, and you have to understand what that officer is looking at. That is a question the jury will decide. But let me go back to this DA. This DA turned that press conference into a cartoon. And he should be up for ethical violation. You don't have the civil attorneys up there and witnesses up there. The defense attorney should ask for a change of venue. And what is happening right now with this case, they have basically declared war of police. That's why, Sean, all these officers are leaving. And one last point, very important. I am sick and tired, let me repeat, sick and tired of people using the term systematic discrimination in a city where the mayor is black and the DA is black. You don't have systematic discrimination in a minority city. Stop saying it.
We've gone through a lot of the big cities. They're usually, Larry, what we're seeing, and I put it up on the screen and talked about it the other day, is you have a majority of minority officers in many of these cities, but I don't want to ask that question. I want you to weigh in on this case, these charges. Do you agree with Leo and Geraldo about an overcharge, and what is your take on the incident based on what you see?
I believe that it's not only an overcharge, I don't believe that the officer should have been charged at all. I've spoken to a number of police officers, and not a single one believes that these officers should have been charged with murder. Several of them are saying that they could have done something different. The tactic, the outcome might have been somewhat different. But the head of the union, the police union in Cobb County, said it was a legitimate shooting. There's a black sheriff of Burke County in Georgia also said it was a legitimate shooting. Not a single cop I've talked to agrees that these officers should have been charged with murder. And I'm telling you something right now. When you talk about that huge burden of proof, there's going to be a lot of people disappointed if these officers do not cop to a lower plea and it goes to trial. That principal officer is going to be found not guilty, and a whole bunch of people might want to riot one more time. So I think we should be very responsible about setting expectations, because there's a good chance that Officer Wolf will be found not guilty.
I had sources in Ferguson that told me about the eyewitnesses that did come out and confirm Darren Wilson's story. I had the same thing happen in Baltimore. Expectations were raised. This is dangerous if you can't meet the standard. It is dangerous.